Hi Eva, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you,
Very,
Claudia?
very good, thank you. So, could you please tell the people who are watching the interview a little bit about your story? What do you do? How do you get to this lifestyle?
Oh wow. It's something I'd like to keep it shorter than it is. It's been a long journey when it comes, particularly my journey with food and nutrition. I started feeding really rather unwell many years ago. I think that was about 20 years ago. And I was really not getting any help from any mainstream, from any doctors or anything mainstream was just was not helping me at all. And I was feeling progressively more and more unwell. I was extremely fatigued. I could barely function. I had continuous sore throats, sort of like cold flu type symptoms. And my doctor just kept prescribing me antibiotics, and obviously that wasn't really doing it, and it was essentially making things worse. And I just sort of, after weeks and weeks and weeks of just sort of bouncing up and down like a yo-yo, I just thought, it has to be to do with something that I am doing on a daily basis, because I just fail to believe that I've got this, virus or bacteria, whatever, that's lingering for this long. And so I sort of started reading up, bear in mind that was a long time ago. We didn't actually have internet back then. So any research was sort of limited, but I was doing my best to find out what it was that could be causing me the problem. And I started reading different books, and I looked into my diet, and I just figured it must be something that I do on a daily basis that is causing this. So one thing led to another, and at some point I decided to cut out gluten out of my diet, and that just transformed me completely. Over a very short period of time, I basically recovered from all the blocked nose and sinuses and sore throat and digestive problems and you name it, skin problems, whatever it was that I was suffering from. And within sort of a week, 10 days to 2 weeks, I was, just a completely different person. So I then, that sort of sparked my interest in nutrition, and, the fact that what we put in our bodies matters a great deal. And I went on to study it, and I studied it and then studied it some more, and I did my master's in human nutrition, and then I started researching it more, and I did my PhD in biochemistry, physiology, and nutrition as well. So that's sort of my journey with nutrition, and to this day, I'm very passionate about creating food that is healthy, nutritious. It tastes really great, but it doesn't have the sort of problematic ingredients that most people struggle with, or a lot of people struggle with. Myself, I'm gluten-free. We dairy-free in this house as well, and we recently found out that my husband is allergic to eggs as well. So I also don't believe that people should be eating a lot of sugar, so my recipes are also refined sugar-free. And I just take enormous joy in creating recipes. I may be completely, even if I'm not really motivated to do a lot in the day, if I think, oh, if I just get in the kitchen and just try this and try that, I'm sort of always seem to be motivated to do that. So it's a great passion of mine.
So how long have you been gluten-free?
Almost 20 years. I think it's coming to 19 years or something like that. It's a long time.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I do, when I spoke to you guys at first, I think, this project is great, because where people struggle the most is the transition stage between when they find out that they can't have something, whether they find out they're celiac, or they may have lactose intolerance or whatever it is, and suddenly, they had to make a lot of changes. And people, I obviously wasn't trained in the area at the time, and it was very difficult, that transition stage, because at first you think you're like a deer in the headlights. You don't know what to do. You start scrutinizing labor, so you're just completely overwhelmed. And obviously back when I was first when I self-diagnosed, there wasn't really anything on the market as such. There were no gluten-free sections in supermarkets or free-from sections, and there wasn't anything like that. So I had to sort of come up with my own stuff. And the best thing you can do, and anybody can do really in that situation, is to make your own, because even if you can buy replacement products, they're usually full of, as we know, they're full of lots of other, things, additives and things that you don't really want to be putting in your body. So the best thing to do is to just get in the kitchen and start doing your own thing. But then not everybody has the skills. So doing a project like this means that it just gives people a great resource to sort of help them along in that period of time where they may really struggle and feel quite overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, because 20 years ago, wasn't these gluten-free products everywhere?
Well, exactly. In fact, there wasn't really any awareness. I mean, now these days, when you talk, you say you go into a restaurant and you say to somebody, I'm gluten-free or I'm celiac, it's getting better. People will go, oh, okay, so that means you can have this and that and the other. Now, all that long ago, people didn't even have a clue what celiac was, or they just didn't, and they thought that it was all in my head as well. So let's not forget that I was just being I was this difficult person, who was just making this stuff up and just to get attention. I don't know, some crazy stuff like that. So, and people really do have those problems, and more so, obviously, as we know, because we live in such a chemical world that our immune systems just struggle, and so people get more and more problems like this. But then again, there's more awareness, and luckily there is more resources. So hopefully, when we can make it easier for people with with projects like this, so it's all good.
Tell us a little bit about your practice. What is people looking for you to help with?
Well, I have two lines of work, and the majority of my work, to be quite fair, is in mental health. So I work a lot with people with depression, anxiety, phobias, and in fact, when it comes to immune health, the psychological element is very important as well. But as you may know, we've recently moved to Spain. And we have just bought the house, and we're moving next week. So at the moment, things are not sort of quite as settled as I like them to be. But I continue seeing people on Skype, and I'm working with people on Skype. So that area of work that I mentioned in mental health, that's sort of probably that's the majority of work that I do. But then of course I've got my nutritional expertise. And I have over the years worked with people with a similar problem to mine, and sort of allergies, intolerances of various sort, but also immune health issues, things like diabetes, things like that, coronary heart disease, diets specifically to do with to improve, not just to improve health, but to optimize health, but to deal with specific conditions that people may have. So obviously that is another aspect of what I do, and that is that is essentially what led me to write my nutrition stroke recipe books, because people come to you with a specific problem, and then they ask you, okay, so what should I eat? Can I eat this? Can I get that? And they start asking you for recipes. You kind of naturally, as a progression, you sort of start giving stuff out and handing stuff out, and you accumulate things, and after a while I just decided to sort of compile it and publish it. So so that's where I'm at the moment.
Those parts are interesting. How do you treat both parts, the nutrition part and the mental health part? How is nutrition not helping, actually making worse a mental health issue like depression or anxiety?
I think people really underestimate just how much what they put in their bodies or don't put in their bodies will impact their mental state. That the two are completely inseparable. But for decades and decades, we have been looking at things, particularly and I think in terms of orthodox medicine, they still look at it as sort of separate things somehow, which of course they're not. Now we know that particularly when you look at the gut and the microbiome and how that affects our mental health and just basically our generally how we perceive the world. Because if somebody's got a massive imbalance in the gut, which quite frankly, if they eat the wrong foods, they probably will have, that will impact on their psychological state. In fact, this biotic gut can make people have symptoms of manic depression. So it's quite serious, and I think we really need to be putting more and more emphasis on bringing those things together and not looking at them in separation. So if I work with somebody who has had depression for a long time, you need to also be looking at not just the microbiome and how the gut is doing, which is actually really, really important, but also all the deficiencies, because of course that means their adrenal function is compromised, because they've been literally draining their adrenals through their anxieties and the constant state of anxiety that people sometimes find themselves in. So then, of course, we're talking about, the magnesium levels, the vitamin C levels, so all those different things will be compromised. And maybe they even have the depressive state that they're in is there in the first place because they have those nutritional deficiencies. Do you see what I mean? So there's a lot of kind of all this stuff interlinks. And when you look at it holistically and you take a step back and you evaluate both, you can very easily help physical issues. You can help those issues with treating the mind, because of course we know how it is. If we stress, we're going to be affected by that in a physical way. But the other way around, it works the same way, as in if you have a mental health problem or depression or anxiety of some sort, you need to be looking again at your overall, what you're feeding your body, what you're drinking and your alcohol intake, and various other lifestyle factors as well, in terms of how that affects your mental health. So yeah, it's very much about that. I know it's a bit of a cliche with holistic this and holistic that, but we really need to be looking at the person as a whole. That's key, and individual requirements, because you cannot. I always have to say I have to laugh when you see different articles online and they say, oh, this thing is brilliant for this, so everybody should now go and eat lots of eggs or lots of almonds or lots of this or lots of that because it's good for you. Well, it's an individual thing, isn't it? For some person that may well be what they need, but if they happen to be allergic to that very thing, then they're not going to get that benefit. So exactly. Yeah, so looking at, everybody should sort of give themselves, I think, people should look at their own individual requirements and not just go with what they read and what is sort of, because nothing really applies to all. So I'm very much a believer on you really need to look at people's individual needs.
So talking a little bit about food, since this book is about food and re-enjoying the fact of eating, even if you are allergic to so many things. What is your favorite food?
I honestly will say that from the heart, I cannot live without my salads. And recently we went to Costa Rica for a few weeks. And I really, I struggle. In 3 weeks, you survive, whatever it is, you survive. But they tend to eat a lot of beans and rice and eggs. That's the sort of staple, beans and rice, with everything. And not, I wouldn't say that there's as much into their fresh food as I am. So, and I found that a bit difficult. And it was just a joy to come back home and make my own salad. It was, it's crazy, but I do love it. And avocados probably, I'm completely mad about avocados. Yeah. And coconut. Probably would put with probably just about anything. I use coconut oil, I use coconut, cream coconut, desiccated coconut, you name it, coconut flour, coconut sugar, it's a great ingredient, so I do use it a lot. So I've actually said before that if people don't like coconut, they shouldn't probably be buying my nutrition books, because undoubtedly there's going to be lots of coconut.
So the avocado and coconut is the thing that is never missing from your kitchen.
Yeah, no, honestly, I always have loads of, because I put them in my smoothies as well, avocados, because when you make a nice green smoothie or whatever smoothie you want, I mean, they're just great because it's a nutrition packed meal. I mean, it's not a meal, but you can almost make it into a meal if you want. And avocados will just make it make it very velvety, and it gives it avocado will give it this superb, smooth, nice sort of creamy texture. It makes it feel really luxurious. So yeah, I do use them a lot.
So what would you tell the people buying this book for them to expect from it?
I think, what I said before is particularly for people who are transitioning and suddenly discovering, oh dear, I can't have this and I can't have that and I can't have the other. It's really going to be great help. Or perhaps if they have somebody in the family, or maybe the child, and I think having you can never have too many resources like this and too many ideas. And the book is great because I like it that we've got contribution from so many people from all those corners, all over the world. And what that means is bringing different tastes, different influences, and definitely, different ideas. So I think that's a great thing. That's going to be I'm expecting such a great variety of recipes. And I think it's going to be a great resource. Really looking forward to the final version of it.
Yeah. Could you tell people how?
You're involved in editing, aren't you? So you must be.
Yes.
Must be quite excited putting it together. Yeah.
Yeah, it is exciting, and it's been very interesting, and I'm already ready to start making some of these recipes too. I'm not so much a kitchen person. I usually just do salads and things fast and easy to do because I don't like to cook that much, but some of them are worth trying.
But I actually wanted to say that for people who, because sometimes people would like to, but they don't have enough confidence that they're able to, make some of those recipes. And I just want to say, just give it a try. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? And I think most of the recipes, I definitely would say that for also a lot of the recipes I created. Particularly with my first book, which was all about one of the things that I was getting from people in terms of feedback and what people were asking for is that things are easy. That people want things to be easy to make. They want they don't want to spend all day in the kitchen, and likewise, they don't want to feel that they need to be gourmet chef before they can make those recipes. It needs to be something that is fairly, straightforward and easy. It doesn't require an awful lot of skill. So yes, I believe in this book that we're creating right now, we're putting together, that there's going to be a lot of recipes that, you may look at the picture and you may think, oh, this looks so great, I don't think I can make it. I think, you just need to give yourself a chance and just give it a try. Definitely give it a try, because I think a lot of it is a lot more, it's a lot simpler, it's a lot easier than you think.
Yes.
So that's
yes. Could you give people how can they reach you if they have any questions or they want to consult you?
I have a website, and that's probably the best way, because from the website there's sort of different links to social media sites and so on, and to my podcast as well. My health food podcast, not health food podcast, sorry, health podcast, natural health. So it covers more than just food and more than just nutrition. And the site, my website is dreva.com, and that's dr-eva.com. So rather than full word, is dr-eva.com. And that's the best place to find me. All my contact details are there.
Perfect. Thank you, Eva, for your time, for your sharing your story, and letting us learn a little bit more about this.
Thank you very much, Claudia. Much appreciated.
Thank you.